Jordan felt a familiar, nervous excitement as the bus pulled into his old hometown. The streets looked smaller than he remembered, as if time had shrunk everything. The smell of freshly cut grass mixed with the faint scent of the bakery on Main Street brought a wave of nostalgia he hadn't realized he missed so much. It had been 5 long years since he last walked these roads, and now he was finally back to visit his best friend, Max. Jordan glanced out the window, spotting the old playground where he and Max had spent countless afternoons. The swings swayed gently in the wind, creaking in a rhythm that reminded him of laughter long gone. He wondered if Max would even recognize him after all this time. The thought made his stomach twist, with a mix of excitement and anxiety. When the bus stopped at the corner nearest Max's street, Jordan grabbed his backpack and stepped off. His feet felt light as he walked along the familiar pavement, his mind filled with memories of scraped knees, secret hideouts, and whispered adventures shared under the shade of oak trees. As he approached Max's house, Jordan noticed how little had changed. The white picket fence still leaned slightly to one side, and the garden had the same crooked rows of flowers that Max's mom, Mrs. Harper, always tended. Jordan took a deep breath and rang the doorbell, his heart beating faster. The door swung open, and Mrs. Harper stood there, holding a plate of freshly baked cookies. At first, she smiled politely. But then, her expression changed. Her eyes narrowed slightly, scanning Jordan's face as if she were trying to remember something long forgotten. "You're not the boy I remember," she said softly, almost to herself. Jordan froze, his mouth opened, but no words came out at first. He had expected her to welcome him warmly, maybe even hug him like she used to when he was little. Instead, her words hit him like a sudden chill. I'm Jordan," he said finally, trying to sound casual, though his voice betrayed a hint of uncertainty. "Max, he's home, right?" Mrs. Harper tilted her head, studying him. "I know who you are," she said slowly. "It's just, you feel different. I can't explain it." Jordan swallowed hard. He wanted to laugh it off, tell her she was mistaken, but something in her voice made him pause. She wasn't angry or upset. She seemed concerned. Before he could respond, Max appeared from the hallway, his eyes widening in surprise. "Jordan, is that really you?" he asked, stepping forward quickly. Jordan smiled. "It's me." Max looked at him closely, as if trying to recall a memory from deep inside his mind. "You look the same, mostly," he said, scratching the back of his head. "But there's something different. I can't put my finger on it." Jordan laughed nervously, brushing off the unease he felt rising in his chest. "Maybe it's just the city life. Makes me look taller or smarter or something." Max grinned. "Yeah, maybe." Mrs. Harper stepped aside, letting Jordan enter the house. Jordan noticed every detail as he walked through the familiar rooms. The furniture was the same, the photos on the wall unchanged, but there was a subtle energy in the air that made him feel slightly off balance. It was as if the house remembered him, but not quite the way he remembered it. Over lunch, Jordan tried to ignore the strange feeling. He and Max talked about school, friends, and the small adventures they had shared as kids. But no matter how much laughter filled the room, Jordan couldn't shake Mrs. Harper's words from his mind. After lunch, Max suggested they go for a walk around the neighborhood, just like old times. Jordan agreed, hoping that being outside, in the open air, would make him feel more like himself. As they walked, Jordan noticed subtle differences. The corner store had a new sign, the old library had been replaced with a small cafe, and a few houses looked newer, as if someone had been renovating quietly while he was gone. At first, he thought it was just the passage of time, but then he realized the changes were too small, too precise, as if someone had altered things only slightly to make the neighborhood feel familiar but different. "Did you notice how some things have changed?" Jordan asked Max, pointing to the cafe. Max shrugged. "Yeah, I guess. Nothing too weird, though. Jordan frowned. Something about Max's calm reaction bothered him. As a kid, Max would have pointed out every change with excitement or complaint. But now, he seemed almost indifferent. They walked in silence for a while. The soft crunch of gravel under their feet the only sound. Jordan's mind raced with questions. Was he imagining things? Was the town different? Or had he simply changed so much that everything felt unfamiliar? Finally, they arrived at the old park, the place where Jordan and Max had spent countless hours building forts, pretending to be explorers in distant lands, and sharing secrets that no one else would understand. Jordan felt a pang of longing as he looked at the swings and the treehouse. Everything was so familiar, yet so strange. Max climbed up to the treehouse first, offering his hand to Jordan. Jordan took Max's hand and climbed up carefully. From the top, he could see the entire neighborhood, the streets winding like veins through the town. It looked peaceful, almost frozen in time, but the sense of unease lingered. "Remember when we built the trapdoor here?" Max asked, pointing to a small section of the floor. Jordan laughed, remembering the countless hours they had spent designing it. "Yeah. And then I fell through it the first time we tried it." Max chuckled. "You were so dramatic about it." Jordan felt a warmth in his chest, happy to share the memory. But he couldn't ignore the feeling that something was wrong. The laughter, the memories, even the familiar sights, they all felt slightly off, as if he were walking through a dream of his childhood rather than reality itself. When they finally climbed down, Jordan noticed a photograph nailed to the treehouse wall. It was an old picture of him and Max as kids, grinning from ear to ear. Jordan reached out to touch it, and the photograph seemed to shimmer for a moment. He blinked, and when he looked again, the image appeared subtly different. His face looked slightly older, more confident, and yet not entirely him. Jordan stepped back, startled. "Did you see that?" he asked Max. Max looked at the photo and shrugged again. "See what?" Jordan's stomach sank. If Max couldn't notice, maybe he was the only one seeing the difference. The thought made him feel isolated, even in this familiar place. They stayed at the park until the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Jordan felt a strange mixture of comfort and unease. He was home, and yet he wasn't. Something had shifted during the years he was away, something subtle but undeniable. As they walked back to Max's house, Jordan resolved to figure it out. He didn't know what had changed himself, the town, or even time itself, but he knew one thing. He wasn't leaving until he understood why Mrs. Harper had said those words. Words that now echoed in his mind. "You're not the boy I remember." Jordan went to bed that night staring at the ceiling, the memories of the day swirling in his mind. He thought about the shimmer in the photograph, the subtle differences in the town, and the strange way Max and his mom had reacted to him. One thing was clear. His visit home was not going to be simple. Something was different, something extraordinary. And he was determined to find out what it was. And deep down, Jordan felt a spark of excitement. Whatever lay ahead, he was ready. After all, human curiosity and determination had always been his greatest strengths. The very qualities that might just lead him to uncover the truth. The next morning, Jordan woke to the sound of birds chirping outside Max's window. Sunlight spilled across the floor, painting the room in warm, golden light. He rubbed his eyes and stretched, feeling a strange mixture of excitement and unease from the previous day. The memory of Mrs. Harper's words, "You're not the boy I remember," lingered in his mind like a shadow he couldn't shake. He got dressed and walked downstairs, hoping a cup of Mrs. Harper's famous hot chocolate would calm his nerves. Max was already in the kitchen, eating a bowl of cereal and humming a tune Jordan remembered from their childhood. "Morning," Jordan said, trying to sound cheerful. Max looked up and grinned. "Morning. Sleep okay?" "Yeah. Yeah, fine, Jordan replied, though his mind was busy thinking. Something about the way Max seemed normal, yet slightly different, made him uneasy. Mrs. Harper placed a steaming mug in front of Jordan. Here, she said softly. Drink this. It'll help you wake up. Jordan took a sip, savoring the sweet, rich flavor. As he drank, he noticed Mrs. Harper watching him carefully, her brow furrowed. She didn't speak, but her eyes held that same concern he had seen yesterday. After breakfast, Max suggested they explore the town, just like old times. I want to show you some of the new places, he said, grabbing his backpack. You'll like them. Jordan nodded. Sure, lead the way. As they walked through the streets, Jordan couldn't help but notice the subtle differences that had made him uneasy yesterday. The corner store still had the same shape, but the windows were cleaner, and the sign looked newer. The old library had been replaced by a cafe, but it wasn't the same cafe Max had mentioned. Its design felt almost too perfect, as if someone had imagined it exactly how it should look. Did this place always look like this? Jordan asked, pointing to a small park bench surrounded by freshly planted flowers. Max shrugged. I don't remember it exactly, but maybe it's new. Things change, right? Jordan frowned. He remembered every detail of this neighborhood, yet everything felt slightly shifted. The streets seemed narrower. The houses, subtly altered. It wasn't drastic, but enough to make him question his own memory. They walked past the old bike shop, and Jordan froze. The building was familiar, but the sign read a different name now. Inside, the bikes were arranged in a way he didn't remember neat, almost like someone had redesigned everything carefully. Jordan felt a chill. Do you think I'm imagining things? He asked quietly. Max looked at him with a puzzled expression. Imagine what? Jordan shook his head, trying to brush it off. Nothing. Just, never mind. They continued walking until they reached the park where they had spent most of their childhood. Jordan's eyes were drawn to the treehouse first. It looked the same, but something about it felt different. He stepped closer, noticing the nails were shinier, the wood slightly polished. The tree itself seemed taller, stronger, as if it had grown faster than it should have in 5 years. Max climbed the ladder first, then held out his hand to Jordan. Jordan took the hand and climbed up carefully. From the top, the neighborhood stretched out before him. Everything looked peaceful, almost perfect, but the unease inside him grew stronger. Remember when we made that secret fort behind the bushes? Jordan asked, pointing to a small thicket nearby. Max laughed. Yeah, we thought no one would ever find it. And then that dog kept chasing us away. Jordan smiled. But the memory felt strange. He remembered more details than Max seemed to. He could picture the exact layout of the fort, the secret compartments they had built, even the small scratch on the tree trunk where he had carved his initials. Max didn't mention any of that. Jordan's heart raced. Something was off. He felt like he had returned to a familiar world, but it wasn't quite the same. The thought made him feel both anxious and curious. After climbing down, Jordan suggested they visit the old pond where they used to skip stones. As they walked, he noticed a small metal object glinting in the grass. He bent down and picked it up. It was a small, smooth disc with strange markings he didn't recognize. What's that? Max asked, peering over his shoulder. I don't know, Jordan replied, turning it over in his hand. The markings seemed to shift slightly as he moved it, almost like they were alive. Tramley, Tramley Tanley, Tramley Tanley 2R. Jordan, Tramley Tanley, Tramley Tanley Tanley. Jordan replied, Tramley Tanley 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 Tanley. A strange warmth pulsed from the disc, making Jordan's fingers tingle. This is weird, he said. I've never seen anything like this before. Max shrugged. Maybe it's just a rock, Or some old piece of metal? Jordan frowned. No, this wasn't ordinary. The disc felt important. It called to him in a way he couldn't explain. He slipped it into his pocket, deciding to investigate later. At the pond, Jordan skipped a stone across the water, watching the ripples spread. Everything seemed normal, yet his mind kept returning to the subtle differences he had noticed. The slightly altered buildings, Max's partial memory of their past, the strange, shimmering photograph from yesterday, and now the glowing disc in his pocket. "What do you think is happening?" Jordan asked Max, breaking the silence. Max shrugged again. "I don't know. Maybe nothing? Maybe it's just that you've changed, and everything feels different because of that." Jordan considered Max's words. Had he changed so much that the town itself seemed altered? But he didn't feel different. He felt like the same Jordan who had left 5 years ago, curious, adventurous, and determined. As the sun began to set, they returned to Max's house. Jordan couldn't shake the feeling that something strange was going on. He decided to look through old things he had left at Max's house. Maybe there was a clue, something that could explain the subtle differences he was seeing. In the attic, Jordan found boxes filled with old toys, photographs, and letters. He carefully opened a box labeled Jordan and Max. Inside were photos of their adventures, drawings they had made together, and a small journal he didn't remember writing. Flipping through the journal, Jordan's eyes widened. The entries described events he remembered vividly, their secret forts, their imaginary adventures. Even the argument over who got the bigger piece of cake on his birthday. But something was strange. Some entries mentioned things that Jordan didn't remember ever happening. He frowned. "What is this?" he muttered. "I don't remember writing some of these." Max, who had been looking through another box, came over. "What is it?" "What?" Jordan showed him the journal. "Some of this. I don't remember. How can I have written about things I don't remember happening?" Max tilted his head, frowning. "Maybe you just forgot?" Jordan shook his head. "No. These are too detailed. I would remember some of this." The unease in Jordan grew stronger. The town, Max, the photographs, the journal, even the glowing disc in his pocket. Everything suggested something had changed while he was away. But what? And why did it feel like only he could see it? That night, Jordan lay in bed staring at the ceiling. He thought about the day, the shimmering photograph, the subtle changes in the town, the differences in Max's memory, and the strange disc. His curiosity burned brighter than his unease. He had to find out what was going on. He realized something important. He wasn't just visiting his old hometown. He was stepping into a puzzle, one that involved time, memory, and maybe something beyond the world he knew. And he was determined to solve it. Jordan's human instinct, curiosity, determination, and resilience pushed him forward. He didn't have all the answers, but he had the drive to uncover the truth. And deep down, he knew that whatever lay ahead, it would test his courage and intelligence in ways he had never imagined. For now, though, he had to be patient. He had to observe, notice the small differences, and gather clues. The journey had just begun, and Jordan felt a spark of excitement. Whatever mystery awaited him, he was ready to face it, one step at a time. The next morning, Jordan would take the first real step into uncovering the truth, a truth that would reveal more than just changes in the town. It would reveal something extraordinary about himself, about Max, and about the world they thought they knew. And Jordan, with his human heart and unwavering curiosity, was ready. The next morning, Jordan woke with a restless energy. The night had been full of thoughts, questions, and possibilities swirling in his mind. The town seemed normal on the surface, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something extraordinary was hidden beneath it. After a quick breakfast, he slipped out of the house with Max, carrying the small disc in his pocket. He didn't know why, but he felt a strange pull toward it, as if it was calling him to discover something important. Max noticed him fiddling with the object and frowned. "What's that in your pocket?" Max asked, curiously. Jordan hesitated, then pulled it out. The small metal disc shimmered in the sunlight. Strange symbols rotated slowly on its surface, almost like a tiny, living map. "I found it yesterday at the park," Jordan explained. "I think it might be important." Max reached out to touch it, but the disc pulsed softly, pushing his hand back gently. He jumped back, startled. "Whoa, it doesn't want me to touch it," Max said. Jordan's curiosity flared. "It wants me, I think. I don't know why, but I feel like it's connected to me." They walked in silence, the small disc resting in Jordan's palm, shimmering faintly with each step. They reached the edge of town, where the old forest began. Jordan remembered the countless adventures he and Max had in this forest, pretending to explore distant planets and hidden kingdoms. Something about this place now felt even more alive, as if it was waiting for him to uncover its secret. "I think we should go further," Jordan said quietly. "I feel like the disc will show me something." Max looked worried. "I don't know, Jordan. This feels kind of strange. Maybe we should just leave it alone? Maybe we should just leave it alone." But Jordan shook his head. "No. I need to do this. Something's changed while I was gone. I need to understand it." They ventured into the forest, moving carefully along the familiar paths. The trees seemed taller, denser, and the light filtering through the leaves felt different, warmer, more vibrant. Jordan held the disc in front of him, watching as it pulsed in response to their movement. After a few minutes, they reached a small clearing. Sunlight streamed down like a spotlight, illuminating the center of the clearing. Jordan felt his heart pound. The disc began to vibrate gently, glowing brighter. "What is it?" Max whispered. Jordan knelt down and placed the disc on the ground. The symbols shifted rapidly, forming a pattern that resembled a map. Lines stretched outward, pointing toward different locations in the forest. "I think it wants us to follow this," Jordan said, feeling a surge of excitement. "It's like a path or a guide." Max hesitated, but curiosity overcame his fear. "Okay, let's see where it leads." They followed the glowing path through the forest, moving deeper than they ever had before. The trees grew denser, and strange sounds filled the air, faint hums, almost like whispers. Jordan felt a tingle in his chest, a mixture of fear and anticipation. Finally, they reached a small clearing surrounded by ancient trees. In the center stood a metallic structure, unlike anything Jordan had ever seen. It shimmered in the sunlight. Its surface, covered in the same symbols as the disc. This is incredible," Jordan whispered. "What is it?" Max looked around nervously. "Is it alien?" Jordan didn't answer. Instead, he stepped closer. The disc pulsed violently in his hand, then lifted slightly, hovering above the ground. The symbols on the structure and the disc aligned perfectly, forming a glowing pattern that filled the clearing with light. Suddenly, a soft voice echoed in Jordan's mind. Jordan froze, looking around. Who? Who said that?" The voice spoke again, gentle but firm. "Do not fear. You are still yourself. But your mind has been strengthened, observed, tested. You are the bridge between what we study and the world you know." Jordan's heart raced. "Tested? By who? What are you?" "We are observers. We have been studying humans for many cycles. You, Jordan, were chosen to receive enhancements, not to change your humanity, but to expand it. Your empathy, intuition, and creativity are stronger now. That is why others sense a difference." Jordan's mind spun. He thought of Mrs. Harper's words, Max's subtle changes, the shimmering photograph, and the glowing disc. So, that's why. They feel different about me? Yes. Your essence is still human, but your presence has been amplified. Others perceive this change instinctively. Your friend recognizes your heart, but his memories cannot fully reconcile the enhancements. Jordan felt a mix of fear and awe. Why me? Why not someone else? Because you embody curiosity, courage, and a will to explore. You are the embodiment of human potential. Your kind is extraordinary in ways we wish to understand. That is why you were chosen. Jordan took a deep breath, letting the words sink in. He felt different, but not in a way that made him afraid. Instead, he felt more himself. His senses seemed sharper, his mind clearer, and a strange warmth filled his chest. Max stepped closer, watching Jordan carefully. Does this mean you're some kind of superhuman? Jordan shook his head, smiling. Not superhuman. Just enhanced. But it's still me. I still feel. I still think. I still care. And I think that's the important part. The voice spoke once more. Your humanity is your strength. It cannot be replicated, controlled, or taken. Remember this as you continue your journey. You are both observer and participant, learner and teacher. Do not fear the changes, embrace them. With that, the light faded, the symbols dimmed, and the structure seemed to dissolve into the forest as if it had never been there. The disc dropped gently into Jordan's hand. Now glowing softly, a gentle reminder of what he had just learned. Jordan looked at Max, who was still wide-eyed. I think I understand now, Jordan said. I'm still me. But I'm more aware, more capable. And maybe that's why everyone sensed something different. Max nodded slowly. I guess I can feel it too. You're still my friend, but different, somehow. Better. Jordan smiled. Better isn't the right word. Enhanced. But, yes, I guess it's better in some ways. And it doesn't change who we are. It just makes us more aware of it. They walked back through the forest, the sun now higher in the sky. Jordan felt a new sense of clarity, a certainty that whatever challenges lay ahead, he could face them. His human instincts, enhanced though they were still what made him extraordinary: curiosity, courage, empathy, and creativity. When they returned to Max's house, Mrs. Harper was waiting in the doorway. Her eyes widened as she saw Jordan, and for a moment, the same confused expression appeared. Then, slowly, a smile spread across her face. You, she said softly. I can feel it now. You're still the boy I remember, and more. Somehow, more. Jordan nodded, feeling a warm rush of gratitude. It's still me, Mrs. Harper, just enhanced. But it doesn't change what matters. I'm still your neighbor, still Max's friend, still Jordan. Mrs. Harper smiled, tears forming in her eyes. I see it now. I understand. Some things never truly change. They just grow. That night, as Jordan lay in bed, he thought about the day's discoveries. The forest, the shimmering structure, the voice, and the disc they had revealed the truth about him. And yet, the revelation didn't make him feel alien or strange. It made him feel human in a way he had never felt before. Humanity, he realized, wasn't just about being born as a human. It was about curiosity, empathy, courage, creativity, and the will to keep exploring, to keep learning, and to keep connecting with others. Enhancements could sharpen these traits, but they could never replace them. Jordan smiled to himself, feeling a spark of excitement. The world was full of mysteries, and he had been given a chance to see a little more of it, to explore it more fully, to understand it more deeply. And he was ready. He closed his eyes, feeling a calm certainty. Whatever came next, whatever challenges, adventures, or discoveries awaited, he would face them. Not as someone changed beyond recognition, but as a human, enhanced and extraordinary in his own way. Tomorrow, he would continue his journey, not just through the town, but through the world, through experiences, through learning. And with Max by his side, he knew he could face anything, because being human, he realized, was already extraordinary. And being a better version of that human was a gift. The next morning, Jordan woke with a sense of purpose. The revelations from the forest still pulsed in his mind. The shimmering structure, the glowing disk, the voice that had spoken to him. He felt different, yes, but more importantly, he felt capable. His human instincts, curiosity, empathy, and courage had been sharpened, and he knew it was time to fully embrace them. After breakfast, Jordan and Max decided to visit Mrs. Harper together. Jordan wanted her to see him for who he truly was, not just the boy she remembered, nor just the enhanced version, but himself, whole and human. As they walked up the familiar path to her house, Jordan felt a strange nervousness. He had confronted so many mysteries and strange experiences, yet seeing Mrs. Harper still felt like stepping into a test of his humanity. Mrs. Harper was in the garden, tending to her flowers. She looked up and smiled when she saw them, but there was a hesitation in her expression, the same hesitation from their first meeting. "Good morning," Jordan said, trying to sound calm. I wanted to talk to you." Mrs. Harper wiped her hands on her apron. "Of course, Jordan. Come, sit for a moment." They sat on the small bench under the oak tree, the same tree that had sheltered so many of their childhood adventures. Jordan noticed how the sunlight danced on her hair and the gentle way she looked at him. For a moment, he remembered her words from the first day. "You're not the boy I remember." Jordan took a deep breath. "Mrs. Harper, I know what you felt yesterday. I know I seemed different. And I am different. But I'm still me. I'm still your neighbor. Still Max's friend. Still Jordan." Mrs. Harper studied him carefully. "I could feel it, Jordan. Something changed. It's hard to explain, but I could sense your heart was stronger, sharper, somehow more alive." Jordan nodded. "It's true. I experienced something extraordinary, something that helped me see who I am in a way I never could before. And I think maybe it's the same for all humans. We have potential inside us that we don't always realize." Mrs. Harper's eyes softened. "I think I understand now. It's not that you aren't the boy I remember. It's that you've grown into the human you were always meant to be." Jordan smiled, feeling a warmth spread through him. "Exactly. And that's why I wanted to come back. I wanted you to see me, not just the memories, but who I am now. And I wanted to show Max that even though we change, some things our friendship, our bond, never do." Max, sitting beside him, smiled quietly. "I can see it too. Jordan, you're still my best friend. But now, I can feel your strength too. And I think I want to be better too. Inspired by you." Mrs. Harper reached out and placed a gentle hand on Jordan's shoulder. "Humans, you always surprise me. Even when I think I know you, there's always something more. I can feel it in you. That spark, that curiosity, that courage. It's extraordinary." Jordan felt a wave of pride mixed with humility. "It's not just me," he said. "It's all of us. Humans have a way of adapting, learning, and creating that no one, not aliens, not machines, not anything, can replicate. And maybe that's why I was chosen. Not because I'm special alone, but because humanity itself is special." Mrs. Harper smiled, tears forming in her eyes. "I think I see it now. I understand what I felt yesterday. You're still the boy I remember, Jordan. But you're also something more. And that is beautiful. The three of them sat quietly for a moment, listening to the birds singing, the wind rustling through the leaves. Jordan felt a sense of peace he had never known. The fear and unease from the past days were gone. He understood who he was, and he knew that the extraordinary part of him was the very thing that made him human. After a while, Max stood up. Hey, Jordan, I have an idea. Let's go explore. Let's find more mysteries. You know, like old times. Jordan grinned. Yes, I think we're ready for that. Mrs. Harper chuckled softly. Go on then. Just remember to come home for dinner. As they walked through the neighborhood, Jordan felt every detail more vividly than ever before. He noticed the way the sunlight reflected off the windows, the sound of the leaves under his feet, the laughter of children playing nearby. Everything felt alive, and for the first time, he realized that his enhancements hadn't changed who he was. They had only made him more aware of life's beauty and potential. They reached the old park and the treehouse where so many adventures had begun. Jordan climbed up first, feeling the familiar wood under his hands. Max followed, and they sat side by side, looking out over the neighborhood. You know, Jordan said, skipping a small pebble over the grass below, I think this town feels like it's always waiting for something. Like it has secrets we're meant to discover. Max laughed. Yeah, like alien mysteries or hidden treasure. Jordan smiled. Maybe. But I think it's more than that. It's about noticing the little things, understanding the people around us, and realizing what humans are capable of. That's the real adventure. Max looked at him, thoughtful. You're right. I never thought about it like that. Maybe being human is the best superpower of all. Jordan nodded. Exactly. And now, we can explore, create, and make the most of it. Together, they spent the afternoon exploring the town, noticing every small detail, laughing at old memories, and sharing new ones. Jordan felt more alive than he ever had, not because he had been enhanced, but because he had realized the extraordinary power of being human. As the sun began to set, they returned to Mrs. Harper's house. She was waiting on the porch, holding a small tray of lemonade. You've grown into someone incredible, she said, smiling. Not just because of enhancements, but because of who you are. Never forget that. Jordan took a sip of the lemonade, feeling the warmth of home and family around him. I won't. And I'll never forget the people who made me who I am. Max, you, and everyone else. That night, as he lay in bed, Jordan thought about the journey he had taken over the past few days. He had returned to his hometown expecting only to visit a friend, but he had discovered something far greater, the extraordinary potential within himself, and the incredible power of being human. He looked at the small disc resting on his bedside table. Its glow was soft, almost like a heartbeat. It had guided him to the truth. But he realized now that the real journey wasn't about the disc or the mysterious enhancements. It was about understanding himself, his friends, and the world around him. Jordan smiled to himself. The adventure wasn't over, it had just begun. And now, he had the courage, curiosity, and heart to face whatever came next. Max, sleeping in the bed next to him, stirred and whispered, You're amazing, Jordan. Really. Jordan laughed softly. Thanks, Max. But so are you. That's the thing about humans, we bring out the best in each other. That's what makes us extraordinary. The night passed peacefully. Jordan slept with a sense of calm and purpose. He knew the future was full of mysteries, challenges, and adventures. But he also knew that with his human heart, his enhanced awareness, and the bonds of friendship, he could face anything. In the morning, the sun rose over the town, bathing it in golden light. Jordan and Max stood on the porch, looking out at the familiar streets, the old park, and the treehouse. Everything felt alive and full of possibilities. "Ready for another adventure?" Max asked, grinning. Jordan nodded, feeling a spark of excitement in his chest. "Absolutely. Let's see what the world has in store for us." And with that, the two friends set off, side by side, ready to explore, discover, and embrace the extraordinary potential of being human. Because Jordan had learned the greatest truth of all. Humans, with their curiosity, courage, empathy, and creativity, were capable of wonders beyond imagination. And no enhancement, no alien technology, no experiment could ever take that away. He was human. And that was extraordinary.